Every note you have ever written into an AI-powered notes app is sitting on someone else's server. Your client notes, your half-formed ideas, the document you wrote at midnight and never showed anyone. And the useful thing about a second brain is exactly the stuff you would never post publicly. Which means the more useful you make it, the more you are giving away. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build an AI brain that runs on hardware you control. It reads your own documents, answers questions about them, and nothing leaves the machine. I'll also be honest about where this loses to the cloud tools, because that's the part most videos skip. It does lose, just not where you'd expect. And later, I'll show you the one thing that decides whether this works or stays a toy. It isn't the model. Almost everyone gets this wrong on the first attempt, including me. Let's clear up the term, because it's doing a lot of work in marketing copy right now. An AI brain is not a model that has learned your life. Nothing is being trained. What you're building is much simpler and much more reliable than that. You take your documents, notes, PDFs, transcripts, contracts, whatever you have. You cut them into pieces. Each piece gets converted into a list of numbers that represents its meaning, and those get stored in a database. When you ask a question, your question gets converted the same way. The system finds the pieces that are closest in meaning and hands those pieces to a language model along with your question. The model then answers using that text, not from memory, from the pages you gave it, in front of it, at that moment. That's it. That's the whole architecture. It has a name, Retrieval Augmented Generation, but the name matters less than the shape. It's not a brain. It's a very good librarian who has read everything you gave them and nothing else. That distinction matters more than it sounds. A librarian who has read your entire archive is genuinely useful. A librarian who confidently invents books that don't exist is worse than no librarian at all. Everything that follows is about staying on the right side of that line. If you handle client material, this is the version of AI note-taking you can actually defend. If you write a lot and can never find the thing you wrote 8 months ago, this solves that specific pain better than search does. And if you've ever hesitated before pasting something into a chat window, that hesitation is the signal. 4 pieces, and you may already have 2 of them. 1, somewhere to run it. A small rented Linux server around €5 a month. Or your own machine, if it stays on. Pick an EU data center and the whole thing stays inside EU jurisdiction. 2, ollama, the engine. It downloads open models and serves them locally. 3, Open Web UI, the interface, a chat window in your browser with document upload built in. For a first version, this alone is enough. You upload files, it handles the cutting and the storage for you. 4, an embedding model. This is the piece that converts text into meaning numbers. It's small, it's fast, and it runs on a CPU without complaint. If you've watched my private AI video, you already have pieces 1 to 3 running. Adding a brain on top is mostly configuration, not construction. Now, the thing I promised. The thing that decides whether your AI brain is useful is not the model. It's what you put in and how you cut it up. 2 failure modes, and I've hit both. The first is dumping everything in. Every note, every file, 10 years of accumulated mess. What you get back is a system that surfaces your own confusion faster than before. If your archive contains 3 contradictory versions of your pricing, your AI brain will quote you a different one every time and sound equally certain each time. It is not lying. You gave it 3 answers. The second is cutting badly. If you slice a document every 500 characters with no regard for structure, you split arguments in half. The retrieval finds a fragment that ends mid-sentence. The model fills the gap, and you get an answer that reads well and is subtly wrong. That's the dangerous one, because it doesn't look like an error. The fix for both is unglamorous. Curate before you index. Feed it the documents you'd actually stand behind. Cut on headings and paragraphs, not on character counts. And when it gives you an answer, ask it which document that came from. If it can't tell you, don't trust it. So what is it genuinely good at? Finding the thing you know you wrote and cannot locate. Answering questions across 20 documents at once, which is where it beats reading. Summarizing a long transcript against your own earlier notes. Drafting in your own voice because your own voice is what you fed it. And the one that surprised me, it's very good at telling you what you've already said about something, which is either useful or humbling depending on the day. Here's the honest part. An open model on a €5 server will lose to Claude or GPT on hard reasoning. It's not close. If you need something genuinely difficult thought through, send that out. It's slower. CPU inference gives you reading pace answers, not instant ones. And it is only as good as what you gave it. A cloud tool with web access can tell you things you never knew. Your AI brain can only tell you things you already had. That's the trade. It's a retrieval tool, not a thinking partner, and confusing the two is how people end up disappointed. So the sophisticated move is the same one as always. Local for anything private, anything routine, anything about your own material. A frontier model for the rare heavy lift. Open Web UI runs both in the same window, so you're not choosing sides. You're routing. I use the local one probably 80% of the time. Not because it's better, because 80% of what I ask isn't hard. It's just mine. So where do you start? Start smaller than you want to. Pick 20 documents, not 2,000, the 20 you'd actually reach for. Index those, ask it 10 questions you already know the answers to, and check whether it gets them right. That test takes an afternoon, and it tells you more than any tutorial. Then grow it slowly, and only with things you'd stand behind. Your second brain shouldn't live on someone else's server, because the notes you'd never publish are exactly the ones that make it worth having.